computer. And everyone, thank you. Let's get started because it's 5:05. We have Neil with us today, Neil Dudley, who is my business development manager for AMA Waterways. Welcome to my Travel Tuesday. I've been doing this for, oh my goodness, almost a year now. Neil, this is the second one I've had you on?
Yes, second one, because I think the first one we did on your group, right?
My group, yeah.
We have focused on your group, so.
Yeah. So today we'll touch on my group. We'll talk about AMA generally, but we have some exciting news that I mentioned in the email too about AMA and what they're doing with the 7 rivers. So this is a exciting new development for river cruising. And with that, I will turn it over to you, Neil. Please go ahead.
All right, let me just grab my screen. Oh, actually, Sheila, I just need you to enable screen sharing if you could.
I think I passed it over. Can you see?
Host disabled participant screen sharing. So
I have multiple.
Oh, here we go. I've got it now.
Okay.
It's lovely. So, all right. So let me just get this. Now, Sheila, when is your group again on and what date? Because I don't have that.
November 11th. I'll send out the details after. We were going to do a pre in San Sebastian as well.
Yeah.
And it's a taste of Bordeaux. So I can send out details to people. We did a full presentation on it. A couple of people on the call already in the group, which is great. And it is exciting. And we are indeed, fingers crossed, everything is going to be working for us well before November. But
yes, but I don't have that in here because yes, Sheila and I did a presentation specifically on that before, but of course, we'll mention it as I get to the France section, of course. But this today, Sheila had asked me to do something a bit more of an overview of all of our products, which is what I'm going to touch on. But I'm going to keep you to the end because I know Sheila has teased you about our amazing 7 river journey. And of course, that's my last section in my presentation, just to make sure you stay right on till the end. So
good man.
But a little bit about our company, of course. AMA Waterways has been around for 18 years, and this is actually a picture of our owners. We're a family-owned and operated company, and it is 2 main families since our inception about 18 years ago, and our birthday happens to be on Canada Day, so it's very easy to remember our company's birthday for me. So you've got Rudy and Christine, husband and wife team there from Germany and Austria, so they really bring a lot of great in-depth knowledge to our main destination, of course, which is Europe, and the Murphys, who are originally from Ireland, but of course moved to the US, so internationally owned and operated company, and that truly is reflected in our product as well. We kind of know that different people from different parts of the world certainly have different travel interests, and that truly is reflected in the AMA Waterways product as well. Now, I know since you're all friends and guests of Sheila's, that a lot of you probably have river cruise. Sheila obviously is a river cruise guru herself, but for those of you who might not have river cruise, I always like to throw this slide in because yes, we have some similarities between us and our ocean cruising cousins, but there are also some very distinct differences between us and our ocean cruising cousins. And this picture certainly highlights it very clearly. If you've not been on a river cruise, river cruising is very different. It's a very intimate travel experience. You are always within sight of land. You can see the beautiful ships here on the rivers, and you are in port every single day, generally arriving around breakfast, staying right through till dinner. And on a lot of our itineraries, we either do late nights or overnight. So you really get that full immersive experience of each port of call that we are actually in. Now, I say it's more intimate, obviously, on the AMA Waterways ships. It's an average of 156 guests per ship. I'd say river cruise ships in general have no more than 200 passengers on board. So very intimate when you're comparing it to the ocean cruise experiences. But especially with the pandemic that's been going on, there's another interesting fact that we never bothered to market before this all hit, but very important now because, of course, when the pandemic first hit, you heard of some unfortunate incidents happening on some ocean cruises during the beginning. And folks, what we like to do is just tell you that river cruising is very different in the respect of the makeup of the ships. Those unfortunate incidents that happen on ocean cruise ships cannot actually happen on a river cruise ship because on a river cruise ship, every single cabin, every single public space, all has their own fresh air systems. We have no recirculated air on any vessel, which means any of those things that were transmitted through recirculated air can't actually happen on a river cruise, and therefore making it the safest form of cruising out there. And due to the demand, and Sheila will certainly attest to this, river cruising has seen, since this has all happened, people are returning and booking more river cruises than ever before. We normally, CLIA is a very interesting organization that's all the cruise line industries around the world. Generally, river cruising accounted for 5% of global cruise sales every month. Ever since June, we've been taking up 25 to 30% of cruise sales globally each and every month. And that's just because I think people realize that river cruising is a very safe form of cruising, and people are returning to the rivers probably a bit more quickly than they are to our ocean cruising cousins. So just a few little technology facts for you about the river cruise industry. Now with our company, we actually have 25 ships in our fleet. And our owner is not just an owner, but he's actually the architect and designer of every single one of our ships. So he did a couple of very interesting things when he designed his fleet. He wanted to make sure no matter which ship you sail on with us, with Alma Waterways, you're always getting that same onboard Alma Waterways experience. And the way he's able to do this is by creating a fleet of sister ships. So every ship you see, all the features we have exist on each and every one of our ships. And he's even extended this to our exotic river cruise fleet, which I will touch on as well. But another interesting fact, of course, and we have a lot of advisors always asking lately about the sustainability of a company. They want to know if they book their travel right now with Sheila, of course, is this company going to be here after this pandemic is gone? Well, let me reassure you of the sustainability of Alma Waterways as a company. As I said, we have 25 river cruise ships in our fleet. A river cruise ship costs anywhere between $40 and $70 million per ship to build. When Rudy designed this company, he designed it to be very financially sound. We actually pay for our ships upfront in cash. We carry absolutely no debt with the building of any of our ships, and we don't use any sort of creditors. So with 25 ships in our fleet at that approximate cost, it gives us well over $1 billion in assets, making for a very sustainable company. And you can see there's a quote from our owner in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen saying there's no debt on any of our ships. I can sleep at night. So you can definitely book with full peace of mind. Now I sat there and said, we have a fleet of sister ships, meaning you're getting that same onboard experience. Well, there's one exception to this rule, and that is the Alma Magna. The Alma Magna is the world's largest river cruise ship ever to be built. It's twice as wide as the regular river cruise ships, and she debuted with us in 2019. Now, all the same features do exist on the Alma Magna. You just have a lot more of them because we have double the amount of space. And this has kind of been Rudy's little pet project for the last 7 years. He knows that there's been a lot of boutique ocean cruisers who look to the world of river cruising and maybe think there's just not enough to do on board. And he wants to be able to bring them an experience which would welcome them over to the beautiful world of river cruising. So that's exactly what the Alma Magna has done. She's got 4 restaurants on board. These are all included, including an alfresco dining experience like you're seeing in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, similar to what you would find on a boutique ocean ship. It's got our signature twin balcony suites. It's got a rooftop heated pool and hot tub, multiple lounges, so multiple entertainment going on. But we only added another 40 guests, 196 passengers. That's only slightly bigger than some of the regular 4-star river cruise lines at 182 guests. And that's because we've given the size of the suites something that river cruising has never seen before. It actually has suites that start at 355 square feet and go up to 710 square feet. So a very unique experience. Perfect for any of you who may have never river cruised before. Maybe you've done one of those beautiful boutique ocean ships. It is the perfect entry vessel for you to try out river cruising. Now, speaking of innovations, I mentioned our signature twin balcony suites. When our owner decided to start this company, he did want to steal a few things from our ocean cruising cousins that he thought would work perfectly over in the world of river cruising. And the first one was those beautiful balcony suites. Now, on the rivers of Europe, there's always something to see, day or night. So he wanted to be able to bring that balcony experience over to the world of river cruising. And you can kind of see that in the picture in the top middle there. You've got the couple outside on their balcony, able to enjoy all of the lovely views, but he wanted to perfect the balcony experience. So what happens when the weather's not so nice? Maybe it's a bit cooler outside, slightly inclement weather. That's where he invented the signature twin balcony suite. So in the top left-hand corner, you can see we've actually got a matching mirrored indoor French balcony with a table, 2 chairs, French balcony design doors, so that no matter what the weather, no matter what the temperature, you're always able to enjoy that beautiful balcony experience. Now we have 3 levels of accommodation on all of our ships. You've got the picture window staterooms, you've got the French balcony suites, and you've got those signature twin balcony suites. We can even do triple and quad accommodation on some of our ships, along with interconnecting suites. And of course, every cabin type has the iMac entertainment system. We have free access to the internet. Of course, so you don't even have to bring a computer if you don't want to as well. Now, speaking of entertainment on board, of course, you've got the main lounge. That's kind of the main hub of activity. That's where our cruise manager does his or her port talks. That's where our local entertainment happens each and every night that we are sailing, something locally themed to the area. And then, of course, we've got our onboard musician to play music into the later hours as well. But just like on those boutique ocean ships, we actually have multiple lounges for you to relax and enjoy. So whatever you're looking to do that evening while you're on board, you can do that with us. You've got the library lounge, a bit of a quieter area to relax, fireplace, some books to read. On the opposite side is our 24-hour cafe. You've got complimentary coffee, tea, and espresso stations. And in all of our lounges throughout the day, there are also complimentary tapas for you to enjoy as well. Now, speaking of dining on board, this is something we are very proud of. That's a shot of our main dining room in the top left-hand corner. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, of course, all done a la carte. 170 seats inside the restaurant, but as I mentioned earlier, only 156 guests on board, which means open seating. Come and dine whenever, wherever you like, tables of 2, 4, 6, or 8 for you to enjoy. But just like with our lounges, we want to give you choices of your dining when you are on board. So if you're traveling with a group, you can actually dine in one of our private wine rooms, take about 6 or 8 guests for a bit more of an intimate dining experience. And we have the chef's table at the back of the ship. It's our second restaurant on board, totally different menu than the main restaurants. In fact, it's a bit of an interactive culinary experience. You can kind of see the chefs there creating the meals right in front of you. Now, we make sure everybody gets a chance to dine in here at least once during their journey because we won't take a second reservation from guests until everybody else has made their first reservation. Now, the only time we actually take reservations ahead of time is if you happen to be booked on a group departure with one of our advisors. So if you happen to be booked on Sheila's lovely departure for November, she will actually be able to pre-reserve the group so that they're able to dine together in the chef's table. So just for an enhanced group experience while you're on board. Now, all of our food, of course, is locally inspired. And the way that we do this is the chefs are actually out in the local markets shopping each and every day, really ensuring that you're getting that full European culinary experience. And this is recognized by Chandero de Sur, which is the oldest gastronomic society in the world. They recognize any 5-star restaurant's food, wine, and service on board. And folks, we are the only river cruise line to have ever received the Chandero de Sur designation. And of course, we know people are always traveling a bit more healthy these days, and we can take care of any healthy options on board, whether that's vegetarian, vegan, gluten-free, any of those things. You're even going to see healthy snack corners throughout the ship for you to enjoy as well.
And Neil, that designation is really quite something, isn't it? That organization that you're a member of. I often get clients ask me about the quality of the food on board AMA Waterways, and just a reference to that, if they're foodies, they know exactly what it is.
Exactly. It really does speak for itself. I know a lot of cruise lines will sit there and talk about the food on board, but it's until you get recognized by organizations like this whose sole purpose it is to classify a restaurant's food and wine that they can really have something to attest to. So when you hear cruise lines, obviously such as ours, there's some boutique ocean ships that have other very distinctive designations. When you hear that, that is really the true testament to food as opposed to marketing materials a company might put out, because you can't pay to be a member. You have to qualify with the quality of food on board. So yes, it really does speak to the food on board. So now other onboard services we have, like I said, these are mirrored on each and every one of our ships. So if you are the kind of cruiser who likes to get a massage or get your hair done, there are those services available on board. We've got about 20 or 25 bikes free of charge for you to take in any port of call, should you wish to do so. We actually have guided cycling tours on every single one of our cruises, at least one, sometimes 2. And again, perfect time to call out Sheila's lovely Taste of Bordeaux cruise, because down there, absolute beautiful area for cycling through all the vineyards and stuff. And I know we actually have 4 guided cycling touring options on that particular itinerary. So you can be as active or as relaxed as you want to be. We've got a fitness center on every single one of our ships, and we're the only cruise line to have a full-time wellness host on every single one of our ships, offering complimentary classes should you wish to do these. Could be a yoga class, a TheraBand, could be a stretching class up on the top deck like you see there. But of course, we have our rooftop heated pools and or hot tubs on each and every one of our ships. Now, on our smaller ships over in France, they are a bit more intimate. They are French balcony designed ships. It's a hot tub instead of the pool that you're seeing up on the top deck, but a great area to relax. And river cruising, for those of you who've never done it before, is very different to our ocean cruising cousins in this regard. You might be in a port of call. Let's take, again, Sheila's lovely group on the Bordeaux. Obviously, different wines in each and every port of call. The cruise manager might tell you about his or her favorite wine in this next port of call, and you bring it back on board. Folks, you can enjoy it wherever you like on the ship, including up at the pool or in the hot tub. There's even bar service up there on the top deck, of course, to take care of you. There's glassware in all of your cabins. So very different to the ocean cruising experiences as well that you have when it comes to that. Now, each and every year, our owner, actually, he reads all of the customer comments after every cruise. It's kind of put into a report. So he can kind of look to see what further enhancements he can do both on board and on shore. Now, when it comes to shore excursions, normally we have no more than 20 guests per tour guide to keep with a very intimate touring experience. Now, we were the only river cruise line out of North America to actually cruise in the 2020 season. Now, there was enhancements that had to be put in place both on board and on shore by the European Union that all the river cruise lines who did cruise had to adhere to. And one of those was to put no more than 10 guests per tour guide. Now, Sheila, sorry, your cruise is this year, right? This November?
21, yes.
20, yes, so that's perfect. So we've pretty much been told that these same enhancements are going to remain in place for the entire 2021 season. So for the Bordeaux group that Sheila is leading in November of this year, that means it'll be an even more intimate touring experience with approximately 10 guests per tour guide. Now, the sip and sail. Drinks are always included with all of our meals. They always have been. It's been unlimited beer, wine, and soft drinks. But in 2018, we added our sip and sail program. And that was because we'd have guests come on board after their included sightseeing tour. And they'd get back in the middle to late part of the afternoon. They'd start getting ready for the cruise manager's port talk. And they'd go down to the lounge. And that's when about 80% of our guests were actually purchasing a beverage from the bar. So in 2018, we decided to include these as well. We're calling it our sip and sail, but it's essentially unlimited drinks, whether these are alcoholic or non-alcoholic, leading right up until dinner time begins. But my favorite enhancement has to be our My Alma Cruise app. Now, this is an app we designed for our guests to use both before, during, and after your river cruise experience. So, of course, beforehand, it'll have all sorts of great information on the cruise you'll be taking, on the ship you'll be going on. So again, if you're on Sheila's group, you'll be able to see all of these things. You can actually share all of these things, including your documents with your friends and family beforehand. But my favorite part of this app is while you are on board. Now, I will assume each and every one of you have taken a guided tour at some stage in your life. So that means you've listened to a tour guide take you around a beautiful area and tell you all about those lovely sites. So again, imagine Sheila's beautiful group in November. Each and every different port of call has a stunning chateau or winery or castle or some different experience to really talk about all the different wines in each of the ports and all of the artists that made their homes in all of these different ports of call. And of course, you're going to take these guided tours that are included and listen to the tour guide tell you all about these things. And of course, you take picture upon picture upon picture to make sure you remember everything after you get home. And you get back home and you start looking back through your hundreds and hundreds of pictures, and you look back through some of these going, I have absolutely no idea what that is, let alone why I took a picture of this thing or what the tour guide told me about it. Well, folks, if you take all of your pictures now through the My Alma Cruise app, all of the notes that the tour guide gave you on that day can automatically be linked to the pictures you took that day, forming into your own digital photo album for you to look at for years and years after your cruise and remember every part of your Alma Waterways River Cruise experience. And of course, with one simple click, it can be uploaded to your favorite social media sites such as Facebook for you to share with your friends and family as well. So we're very excited about that app, and it can be something that can be downloaded before you go on so you can really get familiar with it as well. Now, folks, this is a map, kind of a nice overview map of where it is that we cruise. We cover all the main rivers of Europe, the Main, the Rhine, the Danube, the Moselle River, all the rivers in France, the Douro River in Portugal, even a few exotic destinations outside of continental Europe. Now, I'm not going to go through any great detail, all of the different itineraries. That is what we have Sheila for. She knows all of these itineraries inside and out, don't you, Sheila?
Oh, for sure.
You've done all the courses. I know you know everything. And the nice thing is that if for some reason Sheila doesn't know an answer to the question, she also knows how to track me down 24/7. So I'm always around to answer any questions she has as well. So
I have you on speed dial.
exactly. We've known each other for a long time. So it's all good that way. So folks, the Danube River, of course, that is the river that about 80% of first-time river cruisers tend to go to. It's tends to be the most popular as far as their first river cruise. And you can do 7 up to 14 night, and even combine it with the Rhine and do 21 night river cruises and go all the way from Amsterdam down to Bucharest in the Black Sea. But this one highlights the Danube River. Like I said, 7 to 14 night experiences, with the most popular ones being between Vilshofen and Budapest. So you kind of get the beautiful countries of Hungary, Slovakia, the Czech Republic, Austria, some amazing countries, and a great array in a 7-night journey, generally getting 4 or 5 different countries. Now, the second main section of rivers that you're going to see in our online brochure is on the Rhine and the Moselle. Now, this is a great section of rivers that takes you from Amsterdam to the Swiss port city of Basel. Again, 7, 10, 12-night experiences, with the longer cruises going down the Moselle River, which is considered to be the most beautiful river over in Europe. Now, a 7-night experience really can't get down the Moselle River, so that is why we have the slightly longer cruises to take you down there. Takes you right down into Luxembourg, so a really nice addition on to some of those cruises as well. And you are going to see at the bottom of these lists, Christmas markets, river cruise experiences, both on the Danube and the Rhine. This is something Europe really does unlike anywhere else in the world. Each of these beautiful cities and towns that are along the river have their own very unique Christmas market. So it's a very popular experience as well. Now, we actually have 3 new ships joining our fleet in 2021. So yes, we know that the pandemic has hit, but because of the design of our company, the ships are still coming out. So we've actually got some new ships, some new itineraries, including a couple of new itineraries on the Rhine River. Now, this is just a shot so you can kind of see the differences between the Rhine, Main, and Moselle rivers, some of the great highlights. The Moselle, you can kind of see on the right-hand side why it is so beautiful. There's a lot of smaller towns and villages with these beautiful historic castles that kind of sat up on the hillside overlooking their towns, and you're able to see these when you're cruising along the Moselle River in every port of call that we go along. So absolute beautiful experience. Now, of course, the next section brings us over to France and to Portugal. And you're going to see that this, even though, yes, this is the question I always get asked. Why do you separate out France and Portugal? It is part of Europe. Well, yes, it is. But there is a reason, folks. Now, the rivers of France and Portugal are not interconnected, unlike all the rivers over in Europe. So the Danube, the Main, the Rhine rivers, you can sail between all of these different rivers. However, the rivers of France and Portugal are all separate, standalone rivers. So this is why all the companies separate these countries out. Now, over in France, you've got 3 main riverways. You've got the Seine in the northwestern area. You've got the Rhone and Saône down the heart of France. And of course, the beautiful rivers of the Bordeaux in the southwestern region of France. Now, these are all 7-night experiences. And yes, we've designed our experiences so that if you actually wanted to do a longer river cruise, you could actually do that. So if you actually had people who were on Sheila's lovely Bordeaux cruise in November and wanted to actually do another 7-night up the Rhone and Saône, there will be a date that could tie in perfectly to do a combination river cruise experience. Now, the ships on France are a bit smaller. You probably heard me alluding to this earlier. Only 140 guests on board are French ships. And the reason for this is because some of the ports of call in various areas, like on the Seine or on the Bordeaux, or even up the Saône River, the ports of call are not big enough to handle the full-size river cruise ships that actually go on the Danube and the Rhine rivers. Therefore, if these ships were to come down on these rivers, we could not guarantee that we can get you into the hearts of all of the cities and towns we stop in. And that is an essential part of river cruising. We want you to be able to be in the hearts of these beautiful cities and towns so that you can really just walk off the ship and explore everything they have to offer. And The problem with some of the bigger ships, if they come through, they have to dock a bit more outside of town where some of the barges are or some of the larger industrial areas and be shuttled into town. And that, for us, was not really the idea of river cruising. So we've always kept with our more intimate river cruise ships to ensure you're getting that experience on all of the rivers. And over in Portugal, same thing again. The Douro will always have smaller ships. In fact, our ships on the Douro only have 100 passengers, so even smaller than our French ships. And in 2018 or 2019, we actually added a second vessel over onto the Douro. The Douro has become extremely popular for river cruising. So again, 7-night experiences, usually with about 80% of our guests taking the 3-night package either before or after in Lisbon, or you can even extend it further and do a 3-night package at the end over in Madrid. And we even have a lot of guests combining experiences between countries, because again, you can do that in combination. So maybe you do a Rhone and Saône river cruise experience down the heart of France, connected with a Douro river cruise, or even tying Douro into the Bordeaux. So lots of combinations, and this is why we have our expert advisors such as Sheila to put it all together for you. So just because you don't see it in the brochure does not mean it does not exist. So do keep that in mind. Now, some of those new itineraries that I mentioned earlier are actually going to be happening in France as well, because up until this year, we had one ship on each of the main rivers in France. But this year, we're actually adding a second ship over on the Seine River and a second ship on the Rhone and Saône. So we'll actually be operating 2 ships on these areas. Again, so almost doubling our capacity over on the French rivers as well. And another great product I love to mention, we are the only company that has a celebration of wine cruise program. Now, this is the brainchild of this lovely lady that you see here on the screen named Liz Barrett. And her idea was to incorporate some of the history of wine over onto our river cruises. And she didn't quite understand why this didn't already occur, because all wine originates in Europe. Wine in Europe goes back centuries upon centuries, where they actually used it for medicinal purposes, for healing, all sorts of things. And it relates to the history of each and every country. So her idea was to have a North American wine host come on to a couple of our cruises, have them bring their new world wines, which have been adapted from the old world wines of Europe that you're traveling through. Now, we started with the 2 of these in 2009, just to kind of see how these would go, how the response would be. Well, this year we'll be operating 63 different wine river cruises. That is how popular the program has become. And folks, you do not have to be a wine lover to go and enjoy these wine cruises, because it really talks about how the history of wine relates to the areas you are cruising through. I will tell you right now, and Sheila can probably attest to this because we've been at a number of travel shows before, I am not a wine person. I am a beer boy. I love my beer. I love to explore my microbreweries. But when I did my first wine river cruise, it was incredible to see how each region has a different wine experience. And that is the great thing about the Bordeaux cruise, of course, that Sheila is hosting, because down in this area, yes, it is known for wine, but every single port that you stop in has a different kind of sampling of tasting of wine. So it's not just one wine that you're going to see for 7 nights. Each and every area is different. Plus, it's also home to Champagne Cognac, and Van Gogh and Monet also made their homes at various times. So it's a great mix of art history and wine down there. So now on a wine cruise, of course, they will add some extra included events, some wine tastings, some extra included wine themed excursions if you're wanting to do that as well. So again, great experience for you to enjoy that Sheila has access to as well. Now that's kind of my overview of all of the beautiful river cruises we have in Europe, but our programs do not end there. There are some stunning exotic rivers outside of continental Europe where we have river cruise experiences as well, down in Southeast Asia, and a couple of them over in Africa. And the first one I want to talk about is down on the exotic Mekong River. Now, we were the first North American river cruise line to have our own ship sailing on the Mekong. And as a result, we actually have a number of exclusive experiences on our Mekong river cruises that no other North American river cruise line actually has. So we've got a very close working relationship with all of the areas down here. And it honestly is the best way to see this region. Now, the cruise itself is 7 nights between southern Vietnam and Cambodia, but you always have the longer extensions up into Siem Reap, and of course, down in the south to see Ho Chi Minh City or Saigon. That is the core product, but there's also the opportunity to add the Northern Vietnam extension. And I always like to encourage my fellow Canadian guests, if you're going to go that way, do take the full 15-night program, because Northern Vietnam is a very different experience to Southern Vietnam. It was about 25 years behind Southern Vietnam when they became a democracy. So things have developed at a very different rate. And of course, Cambodia is a completely different cultural experience. So really incredible if you're going to go all that way. Usually it is a once in a lifetime trip. So make sure to do the full 15-night experience down here. And it is a very immersive experience. Now, yes, the ship, which you're seeing there in the top left-hand corner, the Alma Magna, 120 guests. We actually built a brand new ship in 2016. It replaced our old ship to make sure that our guests were getting the same onboard Alma Waterways experience, just like they would have over in Europe. So you can kind of see in the bottom left-hand corner, pictures of our twin balcony suites. But it is a very different experience. This is not a developed first world destination like Europe. You do have to understand that there's going to be a lot more walking involved. There's not going to be the fancy docking areas. Sometimes you will be getting off into dirt areas. So yes, you do need some mobility, but it is a true, authentic, immersive experience. One of my absolute favorite river cruise experiences of all time. And this is just a shot of the Alma Magna. You're going to notice on our exotic ships, they are not the same design as our ships over in Europe, because over in these areas, we don't have the low bridges or locks to go through. So we were able to design them slightly differently, but again, still keeping with the core aspect inside for you to enjoy. And finally, I'm going to move over to the continent of Africa. And we've got two incredible products here. The first one, again, very unique for us. We are the only ones who are offering this wildlife river cruise experience on the Chilby River. Now, we know that when guests go to Africa, one of the main reasons is to see all of the wildlife that is in the area. And if you take a beautiful land safari tour, of course, there's never a guarantee that you're going to see all the wildlife that is in the area. However, on a Chilby River cruise, we can actually guarantee that you will see all the wildlife that is in the area, because the Chilby River is the only watering hole between Namibia and Botswana, meaning all of these animals must come to this river every single day to bathe, to feed, and that's where you would be sitting on the beautiful Zambezi Queen. You can kind of see a smaller picture of her there, but only 28 guests on board. And I'll just show you a bigger picture over here. The top deck, full open deck. And let me tell you, you get so close to shore, all of the animals coming into the river to bathe and feed. I'd say about 80% of the pictures in our brochure were taken by guests. That is how close up. It is an incredible experience that you're able to sit there, relax on the Zambezi Queen and see all of these beautiful animals. Now, of course, 28 guests, still the same kind of experience on board, but it truly is an immersive experience. And folks, yes, the core program is Chilby River, but you can extend and do South Africa. You can kind of see with this map here. You can do South Africa, go over to to Kruger National Park, see Johannesburg, see Cape Town. If you've already done South Africa, fear not, you can still do the Chilby River Cruise experience and go up to East Africa, because we have an extension that covers Tanzania and Kenya. And new for us that debuted last year was the Rwanda Gorillas package. You can actually add that on to any of our programs as well. So truly is a once in a lifetime experience. Now, Sheila will certainly be able to tell you, you have to book river cruising a lot further in advance than you do an ocean cruise. Ocean cruises, and again, I guess I've lost my expertise because I've been doing river cruising so long. What would you say, Sheila? Is a couple months in advance probably for an ocean cruise?
Yeah, pretty much, but not. You're dealing with a much smaller ship on the rivers, as you've said. So
yeah, I mean, depending if you're booking the mainstream ocean lines, probably a couple months. If you're booking some of the boutique ocean lines, maybe 5 or 6 months in advance to make sure. But river cruising, we generally say about 9 to 12 months in advance to make sure on our regulars. However, this beautiful ship, we say book her 1.5 to 2 years in advance. She's been open for bookings for 2023 for almost 6 months. It sells out very quickly, and with only 28 guests on board, it really does go quickly. And that we are discovering is the same with our newest exotic destination, which is over in the beautiful country of Egypt. Now, we have been holding off on bringing our own ship in because we want to make sure that we could do exactly that. There is a lot of restrictions and rules when you're bringing in new ships into some of these countries. And Rudy wants to make sure that no matter where we're cruising, it is our designed ship. So we are the only ones to have our own ship which our owners have designed to ensure that it's similar to our other onboard experiences. And that is why it has been received so well. She will launch in September of this year. The Egypt cruising season generally goes from September to April, and we're 88% sold out for our inaugural season. So it's incredible. It'll be a 7-night river cruise on the Nile with 4 nights built in to Cairo, where we use the Four Seasons right on the Nile. Absolute stunning hotel. And there are extensions that you could do in either Jordan or Dubai before the cruise, or in Israel after the cruise experience. So again, beautiful experience. And it is called the Amadalia. This is our ship right here. Only 68 guests on board, but again, has that same twin balcony suites that you have in Europe, are multiple restaurants on board. So again, similar designed experience. So we're very, very excited about her debut in September. So folks, that is all of our products I would normally say. However, a couple of weeks ago, we announced a brand new, never seen before river cruise experience. And we can say it's once in a lifetime because yes, again, we might have borrowed the idea from our lovely ocean cruising cousins, who on some of those beautiful boutique ocean ships, they have done 30, 40, 60, up to what, 180 night cruises, Sheila, I guess that's about as long as they have. But some of these beautiful things that are either their long cruises or their world cruises, depending on what they call them. And our owners came up with this beautiful idea to why not do an epic river cruise journey throughout Europe. So we announced this a couple of weeks ago. It's our 7-river journey. She will debut in June of 2023. And what makes it truly special, 7 different rivers, 14 countries, 46 nights. This is truly an incredible experience that we are excited to be debuting. It hasn't even gone on sale yet. It does officially go on sale the 15th of March, but it's garnered a lot of attention, to say the least. It has kept me very, very busy when I have to remind advisors I have other river cruises other than this one. But it's a whole new experience. And I think a lot of seasoned cruisers have really resonated with this product. So this flyer is something brand new that even Sheila probably hasn't seen before. And this is the map of where it will go. It's actually going to start in Paris. It's a 7-night journey on the Seine. Now, yes, it is 4 different ships that you will be cruising on, the way that things connect. But of course, everything is included. We take care of all the porterage between the cruises. All of your gratuities are included both on and off the ship. It is a fully inclusive style experience. So this is just a map to show where it's going to go. Like I said, it will start in Paris, 7 nights up and down the Seine River. Then after Paris, you're going to hop onto the TGV high-speed train and go down to Lyon. Now, this in itself is a unique experience. If you've never done the high-speed trains over in Europe, they are a journey. I wish we had beautiful high-speed trains like this over here in Canada, but we do not. So even adding these beautiful journeys is really part of the experience. So it will take you down to Lyon, where you'll join on to the Alma Christina, because the Alma Christina is cruising on the Rhone River as of this year. So it'll be a 7-night experience on the Rhone River, and then you'll finish off in Avignon. Again, take the high-speed train from Avignon over to Basel. This is where you will board the Alma Prima, and I believe it is for 24 nights you will be on board the Alma Prima, going from Basel over to Nuremberg with extensions down the Mosel River, up the Rhine River, up to Amsterdam, and back down the Rhine towards Nuremberg. Now, there will be some ports of call that we call on twice. But the design of this was the ability, because a lot of these cities and towns, there is more than one thing to see and do. There's always a choice of included excursions with us to allow you to customize your touring experiences. But what this allows you is to go back and see some of these beautiful ports of call. And we've decided to put in some exclusive experiences that we don't offer on our regular river cruises for you to enjoy. And then you will be transferred down to Vilshofen and board the Alma Verde for the remainder of the journey, which I think is 18 or 16 nights from Vilshofen down through to Giurgiu, which is the port city for Bucharest. So truly an incredible experience. We've had a lot of demand. We actually have a lot of guests who are able to put down goodwill deposits ahead of time. And this was basically to ensure that when we everything's loaded in the system, that they kind of get first crack at it, because the inventory. So we've had a lot of guests. In fact, we have more guests registered with these lovely goodwill deposits than we have space for on the ship. But You did not hear this from me, but our owners and our people who are in operations are not silly. There might be a second date that will be revealed depending on how well sales go in the next few days. So fear not about that. Now, there are always incredible early booking offers that we have on our cruises. And we only work exclusively with our travel advisor partners. So it is travel advisors such as Sheila, who is going to have all of these beautiful early booking offers, such as one that's resonated very well. It's only good. I know the slide says it's good till the end of February, but it actually got extended till the end of March, but free land packages. And what we're finding is that a lot of guests these days are wanting to extend their river cruise. They're wanting to go longer periods of time. So this free land package promotion that we had was extremely popular. And I mentioned those holiday markets, river cruises, very, very popular. We've got great triple savings on those for 2022 and 2023. Now, you might think I'm forgetting about this lovely year for 2021. The holiday markets, we are very confident that we will be back in the water probably by June or July of this year. What we have seen is that guests are all thinking, according to the timelines, everyone will have their vaccinations by September. As a result, river cruising from September onwards for this year has proven extremely high demand, including the Christmas markets, which is almost sold out for this season. So that is why we don't even have the flyers yet to promote. There are a few dates still, fear not, but yeah, from September onwards this year, very, very popular. And 2022, folks, normally at this time of year, I'd probably be saying we're sitting around 30% capacity because river cruising, like I said, does fill up quite a bit in advance. We're actually at 64% capacity for next year, so double where we would normally be. Now, that's a lot of guests that were on suspended sailings who've rebooked, but this is also why we opened up 2023 early, because 2023 is already sitting at 18% capacity. So that is unheard of. It's opened a year earlier than we normally would. So we know that it's going to be in very, very high demand. And as I mentioned, you can combine river cruises. If you're wanting to go longer, any of our river cruises can combine, and there's additional savings if you actually do these combination river cruises as well. So great early booking offers no matter which year you're looking to cruise. And like I said, Sheila has access to all of those, but she also has access to some exclusive benefits. Now, Sheila, I know, is part of Lush Life Travel, which is attached to Vision Travel, but they're also attached to another organization called Virtuoso. It's the largest luxury travel organization in the world. And as a result, Sheila has over 50 departure dates where she can actually add an onboard credit, making us an all-inclusive experience. So there's lots of benefits and stuff that Sheila will have access to. And one thing, we want to give you full peace of mind. We have our ultimate cruise flexibility. There is no cost to this. If you are booking a river cruise with us, book with full peace of mind, knowing that if you need to change your mind for absolutely any reason up until 48 hours prior to your cruise, you are able to do so with no change fees. And there is no cost to that policy. Now, we do have a Travel Waiver Plus policy. If you happen to add any land packages or any air components, these are kind of third-party sectors that we can't control whether they're going to charge us. So the $175 per person, again, allows you to change your mind for any reason and have no change fees that they might put down, because that $175 will cover for any of those. So that's the only difference between the policies. If you're doing cruise only, you don't need to add it. If you're adding any of the extras, then please make sure to add that as well. But as a special thank you for any of you who unfortunately aren't able to book onto Sheila's lovely group, which she has some special exclusive group savings. If you're going to book a cruise outside of her group, in addition to whatever the early booking offers are, I'm going to give you another $200 off per couple for booking with Sheila as well on any of those. So
lovely. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. We'll open it up to questions. Neil, I just wanted to thank you again for this presentation. As you've already alluded, river cruising is extremely popular. You know, the world has changed over the past year, as we all know. But river cruising was already extremely popular. And if you're looking at ships that have an average of 160, maybe less with the pandemic, that's 80 cabins. If you're looking at an itinerary on a certain date, all the people who had been booked in 2020, as well as the cruises in 2021 who had to suspend, they've all been reaccommodated. So we're already talking about space that's very tight. As you mentioned, was it 62% in 22?
63%, yeah, 63% already for 22 and 18% for 2023. So
And if you guys aren't already aware, I think everybody here is my client. There might be one or two colleagues, clients. Just know too that the thing with river cruising is that you have to meet the standards of every country you sail in, correct, Neil? So
yeah, so we don't get to choose. River cruising is very different to ocean cruising, whereas an ocean cruise, once they're into international waters, they don't have a country that oversees what they do. Whereas a river cruise is always within the confines of a country. So the European Union actually sets down the rules and regulations that we must follow. So that's how we were able to cruise in 2020. It was just for our European passengers. But in fact, there was 18 different river cruise lines that sailed with the enhanced health and safety protocols. Over 35,000 passengers cruised in 2020 with those enhanced health and safety protocols without a single incident. So they will set down because it's the same health and safety enhancements that are needed for those countries. So it must be matched on board. So that was what kind of makes it an extremely safe form of travel. So.
And with that experience you had in sailing with the German tour operator market, it was, I think, from July to November, June.
You got it.
November.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So you have experience of operating in all the additional health and safety requirements, all the plexiglass, removing the buffets, all of that kind of thing that, we're dealing with how to travel safely during COVID, but also certainly has increased the health and safety rules for when this is completely behind us. You have the experience on how to do that.
Yeah, it's nice because I know a lot of the other cruise lines who've been suspended for over a year and such, they're saying this is what we plan to do when we resume cruising. We're not in that situation. We've already kind of sailed for 7 months. All the enhancements are in place. So as soon as the European Union says, yes, start cruising, we are ready to turn around and start cruising. So, and all the ships are ready to go.
Ready to go. If anyone has any questions, you're welcome to either send a note in the chat. I think there's a couple there, or you can come back on with your camera and audio to ask a question. Karen, you mentioned you had a question. Do you want to type it in or come online?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I see someone else also asked about solo cabins, but I was curious what's the extra charge for single occupancy?
So the nice
Is it
thing
double? Is it 50% more?
So it kind of varies with river cruises obviously being much smaller. Unfortunately, we don't have the same kind of capacity that the big mainstream ocean lines do to offer some of those things. Now, on our lead-in picture window staterooms on our regular ships, it is 25% supplement. On some of our French balconies, it's 50%. And then as you go higher to the twin and the suites, it would be 100% supplement. However,
I don't know. I've never been on, so I don't know what you mean by a twin and a twin.
Oh, the twin balcony suites that I mentioned earlier have the indoor and the outdoor balconies. Those are the higher grade of cabins. So they would have the 100% supplement. But on our 3 more intimate ships in France, including the one that Sheila is got her group on, although I suspect my answer coming up is going to say that they're already gone, aren't they, Sheila?
They are. I have them.
Of course you did. On our 3 ships in France, we actually have 2 dedicated French balcony solo cabins, and they actually have no single supplement. So if you are a solo traveler looking for a river cruise experience without having to pay a supplement, we do have those available on our 3 ships in France. But I know Sheila has a number of solo guests, so I suspected that she snapped those 2 up that were on her Bordeaux group. But again, we have those on every single sailing throughout the season for those 3 ships in France. So if you're not planning on going on Sheila's group, Sheila can look at one of those French itineraries and you wouldn't have to pay a solo supplement. So
you said you have 2 dedicated French balcony
suites. Yes.
Solo suites? Well,
yeah. So
does the person who wants to go single occupancy pay extra for those?
I can share detail with you later, Karen. There's essentially 2 cabins. That's a solo cabin. And then there are sometimes specials where the solo supplement, which is like you paying for 2 people, is either reduced or occasionally it's waived.
I know me, I'm an outdoor person, so I want a window I can open. I do not want to feel trapped in a little room.
So the French ships would be perfect because these are actually French balcony suites. So that's even better. So a lot of times I know sometimes our lowest supplement is on the lead-in picture windows, which don't open, but on the French ships, these are actually French balcony suites. So full sliding glass door that opens up. So yes, those would be perfect for you for sure.
Well,
Neil, are you okay if I stop sharing so we could bring
Yeah.
faces on?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
I'm curious about the price of that Mekong River, and is it possible to go single occupancy on that, or is that very, very expensive to go single occupancy?
I can share pricing with you afterwards, Karen. It is a much smaller ship, as Neil mentioned. So I don't think there are solo cabins on that, right, Neil?
There's no solo cabins on it, but again, we will. Now remember, this is different on the Mekong. We have no picture window cabins on the Mekong ship. They are all twin balcony suites. So even though we do have our lead-in categories, which are category C, there are reduced solo supplements between 25 and 50%, and they are balcony suites. So yes, there are some good options for the Mekong for the solo travelers as well. So
perfect.
I'll take a look at your website.
Thank you. And I'll follow up with you after, Karen. Monique,
Yeah, I have no idea which would be my top priority. So I'm probably curious about the price of different cruises. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. Karen, did you have a question, or Monique? Sorry, it was Monique next. No, did we answer your question, Monique?
Yes, but I added another question about the 7 Rivers, 14 Countries cruise. Will there be any solo cabins?
So I can tell you there will not. So the problem is that we have 4 different ships. Obviously the ship on the Seine, which starts, does have the 2 solo cabins, but when you get to the other 3 ships, there's no dedicated solo cabins. And simply due to the demand on this particular one, there's not, there isn't, we did get asked about the solo. It's a 50% supplement to go on the 7 River journey as a solo passenger. Unfortunately. So
there is pricing. You can have a solo cabin, but you will pay a supplement for it. And just as Neil was saying, we're talking about 4 different ships, right? You're seeing 7 countries, 4 different ships over 46 days. So you're actually changing ships along the way, which is why, it has the solo cabins, as Neil mentioned, is not necessarily something that's carried forward on the ships. But this is a tremendous opportunity. I'm sure it's going to be the first of many, Neil. I know I've had so many clients reach out to me, especially ocean cruisers, who do the longer journeys, that this is really going to be something popular. And, this is going to sell out. I'm sure you're going to put another date on, but that's not to say we couldn't try to build something like this as a one-off as well, right? Because essentially doing seven cruises, 4 cruises.
We're going to have probably another date, because we suspect this is going to sell out within a first day or 2 of it opening. And they have talked about doing some 28 to 30 night cruises as opposed to 46 nights. I know France had been mentioned. It's very easy to combine the 3 beautiful ships in France and do a 21 night journey in France with Paris at the beginning. So like a package there, and Barcelona. So to turn it into like a 3.5 to 4 week package in France. I suspect we will also see that date coming soon too. So
perfect.
Are you going to
but you didn't hear that from me.
Can I ask the question again? If there's no solo cabins, is it possible to get a cabin with twin beds at least?
Yes, all of our cabins can have twin beds. So that's not an issue. Every single cabin type that we have, the beds can be split into 2. So,
and there's an important distinction, Monique. A solo cabin is a cabin that's built for 1 person versus a double cabin that a solo person goes in and pays a supplement. Okay. So that's when we say there are no solo cabins, is that there's no cabin that's specifically priced and built for a solo person.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think someone had a question about Canadian pricing. Who is?
Oh yeah, I see Colleen on there. Yes, all of our prices are in Canadian dollars when you look. Now just make sure when you are, if you happen to be navigating the website, make sure you go onto almawaterways.ca. If you go onto .com, you'll be pulling up US dollar pricing. So always make sure it's almawaterways.ca, because I don't want you to inadvertently go on .com, see these great prices, and then find out it's in US dollars.
Yeah, we got to make sure it's .ca.
Yeah.
Any other questions from folks? Yes, Nancy, go ahead. Are you on mute? You're on mute. There you go, Leon.
Okay. For the France tours, if you said you could combine some of the river cruises, how do they get you from one ship to the other?
Yes.
And is that included or?
Yeah, now so when I've been doing this, because I've been doing this for a lot of guests who will do these now, it's not a scheduled departure that we have with all these songs. So when we have guests doing this, there would be a cost to the transfers to get you from one port to the other, but we take care of it all. So it would all work into the cost. Normally what guests would do is they would probably go and do the Seine in and out of Paris, and then go to our either the cruise. Most of the guests are keeping, when they do the 3 rivers, keep with the small ships. They go over to Chalon-sur-Saône. So they would take the TGV train from Paris to Chalon-sur-Saône and then finish in Avignon. And again, either take the train or a coach transfer over to Bordeaux. So it's very easy. We make all the arrangements and stuff for it. We have guests doing that all the time. But when we come out, which, like I said, I suspect we are going to come out with a scheduled set departure date that offer all 3 cruises in France, then we will have already incorporate that into the to that program, like we've done with the 7 rivers. So, so that would already be, like I said, we can do it. We'll tell you what the costs are, but if we have a specific set journey, then they'll kind of incorporate that into the full price. So
You said they were coming, you think they may be coming out with that?
Unless my VP of operations has lied on my internal trainings, it is forthcoming. I don't know when this will be announced. I don't know anything other than we've had a lot of people asking for what we're kind of calling a Grand France tour to incorporate all 3 with a Paris and Barcelona pre and post options. So I suspect it's coming. When it's coming, I don't know. But as Sheila mentioned, we can always put this together anytime because it's already there. So it's something we can certainly do if you're interested in that.
We can build it to suit. Obviously, if AMA draws on the partners that they have and the relationships they have, we can work with the transfers and everything with AMA. But if God forbid there's a delay in them putting it together and you wanted to do France this year, we could build it as long as the cruises are operational. We can build it and use other companies to do the transfers with still the fantastic AMA product, doing a back-to-back cruise. Sorry, did that answer your question, Nancy?
Yep, thank you.
Okay. Robert had a question, or it might just be a comment. Thanks for the wonderful presentation, very educational, and everybody's thirsty for travel. Yes, no doubt. There is huge pent-up demand, and yes, I will send you some information on European. I was talking to Neil at the beginning of this. I've been doing a Africa travel show on Zoom this week, and I've been talking to my partners in Botswana and Zambia and looking at the Zambezi Queen and talking about that and what's coming with Egypt. Oh boy, we just all got to get on a plane and get going anytime soon, but it's just like picking which one to do first. We're just over 6. If anyone has another question, I'll take one more question.
I see Karen's got one in there asking if we're planning on a 2 or 3 week multi-cruise trip in just Europe rather than France. And yes, you must be in our operations department because that is the other cruise that they are definitely planning. They're planning on a Rhine, Mosel, and Danube combination cruise experience, which doesn't have France. So that is the other one that they've been talking about working on. So like
Budapest to Amsterdam, or
no, it'd probably be again Basel up to Amsterdam, up the Rhine and Mosel rivers, and then down the Rhine to Budapest and possibly all the way to Bucharest. So a full experience up, just not having the France component like the 7 river. So just doing the Rhine, Mosel, and Danube. So that is also definitely forthcoming from what I understand. Again, when they will release it, I do not know, but those are the 2 other combinations, a all France and just a all continental Europe cruise, extended cruises. So
awesome. I think everybody here is on my newsletter, so you would have got a sneak peek about the 7 rivers. If you have any questions about that, it does go on sale on the 15th. So it's, I think it's a goodwill deposit for those. It doesn't guarantee that you get a cabin. It guarantees you'll be the first among the people called, and it'll go to the list of anyone who's given a goodwill deposit first. You know, as we said, it's what, 80 cabins, 70 cabins total, Neil?
And it's a refundable deposit. So it's, if for some reason all of a sudden you get called, here's the price, here's the dates, all this stuff, and you say, no, it doesn't work, then your deposit's returned to you. So, but that's access for people before the official sale date.
So if that, you know, has you jumping up and down inside, and I know I have a couple of clients who were very excited, give me a shout. We'll get you put on the interest list before it goes public on the 15th. But if you're interested in the Taste of Bordeaux, which is the group I have is November 11th with 4-day Spanish Basque package at the front end. Let me know. That's fingers crossed you're going to be operational when? June?
June. Yeah, you'll be fine for November. Everyone's going to be going. So that's, like I said, Rudy's hoping for May, but realistically, it might just be May for Europeans and North Americans in on June. So.
And for those who think river cruising is something that would appeal to them, if not 21, 22 maybe, and of course there's Seven River in 23, but two big things to remember for 22 that are going to have an impact on river cruising, and that's Floriade in Amsterdam.
Yes.
I think that's April to October.
April to October. It's the world's largest horticultural event. It only happens every 10 years and it's in Amsterdam. So all the 2022 experiences have that included if you have a stop in Amsterdam. So,
and then we also have Oberammergau in Germany, which was also every 10 years, supposed to be in 2020, got pushed to 2022. That's May to October. So if you're looking to go to Amsterdam or Germany in 2022, you have to be cognizant of these two big festivals that are going to impact space and availability. Awesome. Thank you, Neil. I really appreciate your time coming on. Folks, if you have a question that we didn't address, please shoot me an email. I will get back to you. Oh, thank you, Robert. I appreciate it. It's nice to have you on. And thank you, everyone. And I hope you have a fantastic day. And river cruising should be in your future if it's not been in your past. It's the best way to travel. You're traveling, what is it you say, Neil? Through the heart of the country, right?
Yes, it's the heart of the river, our heart of Europe. So.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Mm-mm.